Hi, welcome. I'm Sarah D.
I'm Dr. D.
Today we're going to revisit CLIW. C-L-I-W. Stands for consumption, leisure, income, and wealth. If you desire to create wealth, this would be a great video to pay attention to. So if your goal is to reap the reward of having wealth, here you're going to learn the skills of how to generate wealth. And if you practice those skills, you're inevitably going to reap the reward of creating wealth. And we'll just go to this lake real quickly right now. This is a beautiful lake I drew. It says lake in there, but I already rubbed it off. But this blue stuff is a lake. This little blue thing is a stream. And this little person here is you. If you want to generate wealth, it'll give you a stream of income as your reward.
Passive income.
Of passive income. So what is passive income, Dr. D?
Passive income is income that you gain that you don't have to sacrifice leisure to get.
But did you at some point?
You did at some point,
Okay,
yes.
all right. So currently you don't have to sacrifice
That's
leisure
right.
for passive income.
That's right. Passive income is income that comes to you without sacrificing leisure today.
So you filled the lake up at some point.
You filled the lake at some point, yes.
And you can get a little bit of...
You can pull off the stream, yes. You can drink the stream that flows off the income, off the wealth, out of the lake.
Okay, all right. So wealth is, we could say, the lake.
Yes, we could say it's a lake.
And income is the flow.
The flow of the stream, yes.
The stream.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I
I
like
had
that.
written down.
It's a good thing. Yes.
That makes sense to me.
Yes. Wealth is a measurement of is a stock value, right? So.
Okay, like a stock in the stock market.
No, like a stock, as in I've stocked up my pantry.
Thank you.
Like I've stored things up.
So I understood the flow, but the stock I thought was just the stock
No,
market.
I've stored things up, right? So a lake is stored up water. A stream is water flowing out of the storehouse.
So I guess if you store up food in the pantry and there's a
flow of dinners out of it.
COVID, maybe you can't be putting any more in, but you could still get a flow out of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, take it away. Tell me a story.
So I want to start the story with the fundamental idea of people, in a sense, right? So I'm going to say that people get satisfaction from consumption and leisure. Now, I know we're much more complicated than that, and there's more things than just consumption and leisure in life, but let's just shorten it down and compress it a little bit.
Life's complex.
Let's get it
complexify it.
And so you get satisfaction from consumption. I get satisfaction from a soft pillow. That's consuming a soft pillow. I get satisfaction from marshmallow-covered Easter bunnies.
That's a double-edged sword, right?
No. I get satisfaction from it, and then later I get not satisfaction from it. But that's okay. So
double-edged.
Double-edged. Yep. And I get satisfaction from leisure, and leisure can be multifaceted as well, right? So leisure is, just kicking back and relaxing. That's leisure. But leisure may also be, a fun conversation with friends. Leisure could be watching a sporting event. Leisure could be, engaging in some kind of public service thing that makes me feel better about myself. So all of these kinds of...
So it's a personal definition, really, leisure.
Leisure is fairly personal, yes. Right, and it can be very passive or it can be very active.
Okay.
So it just depends upon
when we built the stairs, you talked about that last time, and did you call that leisure or did you call that consumption?
No, so what I did was I sacrificed my leisure to stir cement, which is not something that I gain much pleasure out of.
But I enjoyed it because
you might have gotten leisure out of it.
Okay, so see, that's why. Okay, I did because I got to frost the
I got
stairs.
Sore muscles.
No, I didn't. Because I couldn't, yeah.
I got sore muscles.
So there we go.
But I did get consumption at the back end of it because I walk up and down those stairs all the time.
We both get consumption out of it. You got leisure. I mean, I got leisure and you got work.
Maybe, yes.
But not necessarily income. The income was the consumption.
Right. The income is direct consumption that I was at. Right. So sometimes we work for money for which we purchase consumption. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we work directly for. So if you bake a cake, you're working directly for the consumption. I mean, that's the easiest way to think about it.
Beautiful.
But either way, we're going to sacrifice leisure to generate income, and that income is going to facilitate consumption.
But income can also generate
Wealth.
wealth.
Right. So
Make a lake.
so the first thing we've got to think about is that, so I'm going to sacrifice leisure, something that gives me happiness, to stir cement or whatever it is that I'm going to be doing to generate an income. And that income is very active. It requires me to actively engage.
Right now in this.
In this moment, I'm actively engaged in generating this income.
Filling the lake up with water.
Well, I could be filling the lake up with water.
No, you're not. You could use the income.
Right, so there's two things I can do. Once I've got income, there's two things I can do with it. Right? I can consume, I can spend it all on consumption, as we talked about before, or I can forego some of that consumption today, and I can save that money.
So the income can either fill the lake up,
exactly,
or the income
can go to consumption. Those are two ways I can spread it. That's exactly right. And so I can make two choices. And the question is, why would you choose not to consume all of your income today?
I know. Well, I suppose because you believe that's the best choice.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even believe wealth is possible for you.
Yeah. So
did you believe
no,
wealth was possible
we
for
did
us?
not think of ourselves as being able to generate wealth in any sense.
But were we able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what changed?
What changed? It started happening.
So did you play the lottery? Does
No.
the lottery generate wealth?
No, so for me, it can, yes.
Okay.
It's an income, and as long as you don't spend it all, it can generate wealth.
That makes sense. Okay. So for you, how did you do it? We weren't I was not born in a wealthy family. You were not born in a wealthy family. We got married young and had a baby 10 months later, and
So your stepdad taught me a lot.
did he really?
Absolutely.
Oh, that is so awesome.
So he taught me a lot.
Oh, that's
Passively, I mean, he didn't actively teach me a lot.
No, but he told you about what he was doing.
He told me what he had done.
And you went,
Yeah.
and you went, I'm kind of doing that.
Well, I wasn't then, but we
You
started
weren't?
to. No, heck no.
You weren't putting stuff in.
We didn't start putting stuff into that kind of until we were in Bloomington.
Wow. So at what age was that? Like 30?
That was 28. We moved to
Okay.
Bloomington when we were 28.
Okay.
All right, so that's kind of what. So I was 28. According to the laws of 7, I'd already lost one doubling.
Yeah, one of our sons, when he was 14, he had earned $10,000. He just put it away because he's 14, and he was earning money as a waiter, or I don't know. He was doing dishwashing, something. He just put his money away. He had $10,000. Like, man, whoa! And then he started spending it because, well, what you figure, what was it worth having if you didn't spend it? And so you started doing that, but you didn't totally trust it.
Well, no, you don't trust it until you start to see it working for you.
And besides, he wouldn't have listened anyway. It's hard.
It's hard to listen.
It's hard to believe this. It's hard to believe it works. And what is it that works?
So-
The 7 thing.
So the thing that works is that if you put your savings into some kind of interest-bearing account, and I always talk about the S&P 500, an S&P 500 type fund, because one, I kind of know the numbers behind it because that's what I did. But that's the primary reason, is because I understand the numbers behind it, and because they're easy numbers to talk about. So you talk about the S&P 500 makes approximately 10% return per year historically across the lifetime of the fund. Great. And if you make 10% a year across the lifetime of your savings, then approximately every 7 years your savings will double.
Right.
Okay, so like we talked about before, if I put $100 in
1 month.
1 month,
And then also month 2 and 3 and 4. Just every month you put $100 in, not
Right.
just 1 month you do it, but every month.
Yes. So if I put $100 in 1 month, 7 years later, that $100 will have turned into $200.
And then the second month's $100 will have turned into that again for that next month. So that ends up generating this stream.
But yeah, that's right. So I put this money in savings, and it's growing. And if I think about, I'm putting it in every month, and I start when I'm 22 or 23 or 21 or something like that. By the time I'm 65, $100 that was put in will have grown in an S&P 500 fund approximately, if the future follows the past, approximately to $6,400.
Right.
So if I put $100 a month in, at retirement I can now look at $6,400 a month in income every month
From that stream.
from that. Yes,
And it's passive income.
it's passive because they don't have to sacrifice leisure for it.
So what about the crash of 2008 or 7 and people were losing their shirts and they took their money out?
That was stupid. No, I got it. If you,
It looks terrifying.
It looks
but
terrifying.
Don't move it.
I got it. So if you were smart enough, if you were prescient enough, and you could see when the crash was going to happen and when the peak was before it, you could have sold out before the crash, turned your money into cash, waited until it hit the bottom, bought at the very bottom, and grown it back up. But nobody knows when the peak and when the bottom is going to be. Nobody knows when the peak and when the bottom is going to be. It's kind of like, when's Jesus coming?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so the average tells me if I just left it in, it still would have doubled, even with that.
Even though it was terrifying.
Even though it was terrifying. And ours did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just trust
Yes.
The suggestion is to trust.
The suggestion is just trust. Be in for the long term. Right? There are going to be short-term bumps and those kinds of things, but be in for the long term.
Okay.
And recognize that you're just going to get this flow. Every month you're going to get this flow. So and the question is it even reasonable to think that a 20-year-old could put $100 a month away?
Who's making minimum wage, say?
Yeah. So they're making...
Maybe they would have to work more than 40 hours a week.
So, yeah, they may have to work more than 40 hours a
They
week.
would have to not have so much leisure and so much consumption.
They may have to give up leisure in order to do it. And so the deal is that you build up this stuff that's called passive income. And so the question is, when I'm old, and I plan on retiring in about 4 or 5 years, when I'm going to have a stream of passive income that I don't have to work for.
You already did.
I worked for it.
You're a
I
good
didn't
grasshopper.
consume it all. Some of it I put in the lake.
You're a good ant.
I'm a good ant. Yeah. And now I can become a good grasshopper.
There you go.
Right? And so that's the idea behind it. And anybody can do it. The $100 a month thing is very doable.
You knew somebody too who was the bus driver, is that?
Yes, there was a bus driver that I knew.
And he also taught you something.
He taught me, yes, except he didn't. I did it in S&P 500 funds. Your stepdad did it in government bonds, 30-year government treasuries. He would just buy.
You spent $100 on him every month. Right?
He would buy a government. At the time, I think he was buying 1 or 2 government treasuries every month. So he was looking at having an income of $1,000 or $2,000
a month from those.
Just from those, yes.
Right.
And they would just build up, and that's what he would do. And that was his retirement plan. So 30 years later, they'd be worth $1,000. He paid whatever it cost them to buy them. 30 years later, they were worth $1,000. I went a little bit more aggressively. I went with an S&P 500 fund, which doubles at a higher rate than government bonds. And the bus driver, he would buy rental properties.
Ah.
Right? So he would choose not to consume. he would buy a rental property. He let the tenants essentially pay off his mortgage payment on the rental properties.
Right.
And at the end of time, he has this flow of income coming from tenants
From the rental property.
from the rental properties, which is a form of passive income.
And in order to do that, yeah, he had to really,
He hustled.
he hustled. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there isn't anybody who's wealthy who hasn't sacrificed leisure to generate income and then sacrificed consumption to generate wealth. That's the way you have to do it. And our income when we first got married was minimum wage in the 1980s,
Mm-hmm.
which was, I think, $2.65 an hour.
I think so, yeah.
I think it was $2.65 an hour. I didn't know or understand, and I should have.
Well, it would have been beneficial. So you can learn from.
Yes.
We started a lot later.
Yep.
And if you're younger, then you can benefit from that. And if you're older, then you can still benefit from it. It just depends on
Yeah, we really
where
did.
you start.
We really didn't. We started when we were about 28, but we really didn't
Because
start.
we had to take that out to buy our first house.
But we really didn't start, which also is generating wealth because it still has value. But we really didn't start doing it for real until we were 35.
Generating wealth, but not passive income.
Yes, generates wealth, but not passive income.
You need wealth to have the passive income.
That's right. You have to have wealth to generate passive income.
Okay. Did we do it?
I think we covered it.
I think we did it. So we talked about consumption, leisure, income, and wealth. And the clue is that if you are willing and if you want to reap the reward of having this lake, to have this stream of income, you learn the skills of maybe less leisure and less consumption and funnel that into a wealth lake.
And we actually did that when we were quite young. We decided just after our second child was born that we were going to sacrifice leisure
We did.
to generate something
career.
called human capital.
Right, we went back to college
To generate human capital,
with 2 babies.
yes.
It was fun.
We sacrificed leisure and we sacrificed consumption in order to generate a higher stream of active income,
Yeah,
not passive.
right. Sacrifice brings forth the blessings of
Absolutely.
heaven. Thank you for joining us. I hope it's enlightening. Maybe with the other one together it will give better information, who knows. But anyway, we are here to help you understand things, all things economic. And I think actually econ isn't everything, so, you know.
I absolutely agree with that. Econ is everything.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah D.
I have friends that disagree with me. I'm Dr. D. Namaste.
Make it a great day.